By the end of this video, you're going to learn how you've been using the scales wrong this entire time. You're finally going to understand what truly matters when it comes to scale weight. You're going to learn how to determine what your true weight is, and you're also going to be able to break your fear of them and having them have a tight grip on your emotions. I have helped hundreds of women be able to do this by these simple things that I'm about to teach you. So if you're ready to start learning how to use them correctly, then let's dive right into it. So firstly, it is very important to know that the scales don't just weigh body fat, which, yeah, I know, shock horror, right? When I say it out loud, it's kind of like, well, yeah, duh. But yeah, every time you step on the scales and see the weight go up, you seem to lose your shit. So I need to remind you that it doesn't just weigh your body fat. The things that it actually weighs is, yes, body fat, but also it's going to weigh the amount of water that you've had, the amount of food that you've had, whether you've been to the toilet or not, and yeah, it's going to weigh muscle tissue as well, right? So there's 5 different things, not considering loads of other stuff that goes on in the body, that could determine your scale weight. Now, body fat and muscle can actually fluctuate. Body fat doesn't change day to day, muscle doesn't change day to day. So if you do get on the scales the following day and you see that it's heavier than the day before and you lose your shit, you're literally losing your shit over water, food, or actual shit that's in your body. That's literally it. And then you let it cause you like an emotional distress. You either throw your diet out the window thinking, what's the point? I've been so good this week, yet my scale's gone up. And you're just doing that literally because of water, food, or waste. And I think it's really important to note this at the very start of this video, because this is going to lay you up to understand more of the topics that we're going to discuss shortly. But I just wanted to make sure that, yes, you understand that the scales, they don't just weigh body fat, and you need to understand this going forwards. The next thing that you really need to start understanding is the fluctuations that can happen with your scale weight. And the first thing that we're going to cover about this is due to your menstrual cycle. Now, even if you are going through the menopause, I have seen clients still fluctuate their weight very similar to this. I'm not saying it's because of the menstrual cycle, but there seems to be something there that seems to still do this. So regardless if you're going through the menopause or if you're not going through the menopause, this is going to be very important for you to understand and learn. So what we need to look at here, and mainly we need to take into consideration, is your hormone levels. In the light blue here, we have your estrogen levels, and then in the pink here, we have your progesterone levels. Now, why this is important is because this can have a big determination on what your scale weight actually is. In the red here, we've got this is your bleeding phase. So this is when you're going through your actual period. And then the other parts of here, we got day 1 to 14 to 28. And then we got ovulation down in the middle. And now I put 1 to 28 because this is the average for a woman to be going through the period and how long it lasts. Now, why these hormones are important is because when your progesterone starts to peak, what this actually does is it puts a blocker on a hormone that is responsible for water retention. So around this point here, what you would usually typically see is that your scale weight and water retention starts to drop down. So you may see your lowest weight around this point. After progesterone starts to drop again, that hormone is kind of like released again. So what ends up happening is your body starts absorbing more water retention and you can see your scale weight going up. Another thing that's important to note is we can break your menstrual cycle down into 4 different sections. So we can break it here as 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? Now during these 4 weeks, your scale weight can be massively different. It can fluctuate very differently from week to week because of the different levels that your hormones are going through. So if you're weighing yourself and comparing week 1 to week 4, you may be pretty upset. You might get disheartened because you've seen that you've gained weight. And this is the wrong way to go about weighing yourself because of these fluctuations. So the best thing to do, and what I get all my clients to do, is to track their weight week by week. So we got week 1, week 2, week 3, and week 4. Then what you want to do is take your weight of each of these weeks, and then in the following cycle, let's say it's week 1 of your cycle, again, week 2, week 3, week 4, but this is like part 1 of your fat loss phase, this is part 2 of your fat loss phase. You want to compare week 1 to week 1, week 2 to 2, 3 to 3, and 4 to 4. Then you're going to start to know if your weight is actually coming down or not, rather than comparing week 4 to week 1. The next important thing that you need to understand when it comes to scale weight fluctuations is the role of carbohydrates and how much water they store. Now, for every gram of carbohydrate that you store on your body, you'll store 3 grams of water alongside that carb. Now, the reason this is important to understand is because your body can hold around 400 grams of carbs. So if we take those 400 grams and add 3 grams per every gram, that means that your body will store around 1,200 grams alongside those 400 grams. This can lead to a 1.6 kilo difference in your scale weight. None of it being from body fat, just from carbohydrates and water. So this is very important to understand because your weight could fluctuate 1.6 kilos and none of it's fat. It's all water and carbohydrates. Now, this doesn't mean that carbs are bad, because carbs are a very good fuel for you to be able to train hard in the gym, and they're also known as protein sparing, meaning that they can protect your muscle tissue. And this is why people see such a good result when they cut carbs out of their diet, because they've just lost 1.6 kilos of carbohydrates and water. Fat hasn't come off, and your goal is to lose fat, right? It's not to lose carbs and water. So don't worry about like trying to do a no carb diet or carbs being bad. It's not going to stop you from losing fat. But this is a very important thing to understand, because again, you may be getting upset over the scales simply because your weight has fluctuated from carbs and water differences, right? So again, just make sure that you're not getting too fixated on the scales, because this can be causing and leading to scale weight changes. And then the final thing to note is that also salt equals water retention. So that means if you have had a higher salt food intake one day, or maybe one day you've had a drastically low salt intake, your scale weight is going to differ depending on this. And again, all these things lead to scale weight fluctuations. So it's important that you know this, because it's going to happen from time to time. And we want to make sure that you're not getting caught up or worried about these changes. Next up, you need to understand the scales don't show the entire picture. I can't tell you how many clients that I've had that have sent me their check-in videos on a week-to-week basis. And one week they'll send me a message saying that, I feel really proud, like I got into some clothes that I haven't fit into in ages, or I went out, I put on a dress and I felt absolutely amazing. And then the but comes. And when that but comes, it's like, but the scales just won't move. They've gone up this week. And I'm sat there trying to keep my shit together, because they haven't come to me to weigh less. They've come to me to feel more confident, to be able to wear clothes that they haven't been able to wear for ages, and to be able to try on new things and feel amazing. So I have to be fair, this week with one of my clients, I said in their check-in video, right, I don't know how well you do with tough love, but you're getting tough love from me this week. I talked to her about saying that you've come to me saying you're very impressed and very proud that you finally got back into 2 pairs of trousers this week that you haven't been able to fit into in ages. And then in the same breath, you're then moaning about me that your scale weight hasn't gone down. Who gives a shit? You're not here to weigh less. Your scale weight is the least important thing about you. If you came to me one week and said like, Lewis, I have fit into my trousers that I've never fit into in years. I haven't been able to get into them. I've tried them on and I feel absolutely amazing. I'd be buzzing and I'd be like, that's such a cool thing to like hear about and to discuss. Whereas if they're like, oh, Lewis, my scale weight's gone down half a pound this week. Cool. Like, how is that as exciting as getting in trousers, right? So this is something you really need to understand, that your scale weight, it may not drop down, and that's okay. And we have to look at other parts that's going on in your journey. Are you feeling stronger? Are you feeling more toned? Are you fitting into clothes better? Is there more room in your belt? Is there more room in your skirt? Like, all these sorts of things are what is really, really important, right? So yes, the scales can be a great tool to help you understand what's going on with things, but it's not going to determine your entire journey, and therefore you shouldn't put all your focus on them. The next thing that you need to understand is that weight loss is not linear, like at all. To be fair, that bit there should probably be like 3, 4, maybe 5 lines just to emphasize that point, because it really isn't linear. Yet everyone expects to see their weight loss do this. Everyone expects to just see it continuously go down, like indefinitely. And if that's what you think, then yeah, you're in for a bit of a shit show of a ride because you're going to be very, very disappointed. The truth is, when it comes to weight loss, what it actually looks like is day one, you may lose a little bit of weight. The next day, you may maintain. You may go up, then you may drop. You may go sideways, you may come up a bit, you may drop, you may come massively back up, drop a little bit, sideways, down, so on, right? Like, this is literally what a lot of my clients' scale weight looks like. But who gives a shit about these points when you started up here and then now you're down here? You should only care about these 2 points. You shouldn't care about these fluctuations in between, because who cares, right? Who cares? We're down in this line here. We started up here, now we're down here. And knowing and understanding this is going to be so important, because again, if you get caught up in every like plateau or every scale weight increase on here, you're going to be on for a hell of an emotional roller coaster. Whereas if you zoom out and just look at weekly averages, you would see that you're slowly moving down in the right direction. And that's the only thing that matters here, is the long-term trend, not what's happening on a daily or weekly basis. So now to finish things up, I need to be able to tell you how to actually use the scale weight going forward so you can use them to your best advantage. So the first thing that you need to do is make sure that you weigh yourself first thing every single morning. There's no point weighing yourself midday at the end of the day, because you've already had food, water, been to the toilet multiple times, that it's not going to be a true low weight. So what you need to do is, after you get out of bed, go to the toilet, weigh yourself, and then go on to consuming your water and food throughout the rest of the day. This will give you a true low weight because there's nothing else that's been in your system at that point. So this is the first and foremost thing to do. Next, what you want to do is make sure that you do that every single day of the week. Not once a week, not once every 2 weeks, every month, or anything like that. There's too many variables that's going to go on during that time. What we actually want to do is take your average weight of the week, because you're always going to have fluctuations. You may weigh differently week to week. So what we need to do is make sure that we're adding up every single day, dividing it by the number of days that we've weighed ourselves, and this will give you a weekly average. As long as that weekly average is moving down, we know that we're moving in the right direction. So this is what exactly it is that you want to start doing going forwards. The next thing to know is whether you've hit a weight loss plateau or not. Now, what I'd say to all my clients is you haven't hit a true weight loss plateau unless you haven't changed for more than 3 weeks. If your weight stayed the same for 2 weeks, I wouldn't say this is a plateau. You could be losing body fat still at this point, but the weight isn't just going down yet because of water. And basically what tends to happen is you can lose body fat, but you can fill those fat cells up with water, masking the weight loss that we would see on the scales. So yeah, again, if it's been a week, no weight change, don't panic, don't change anything. If there's been 2 weeks with no change, don't panic, don't change anything. If there's been 3 weeks, don't panic, don't change anything. And then finally, if you get to the 4th week and there is no changes, you're not seeing any fat loss, you're not feeling any roomier in your clothes, then yeah, you've probably hit a plateau, and you need to look at your activity levels and also the amount of food that you're consuming, and then look in where you can make some changes to get that scale weight dropping again. If you start doing these very things for when you're using the scale, I promise you, you'll be able to break that bad relationship you have. You'll be able to utilize this tool properly, and you'll also understand that it's not the be all and end all, and we need to look elsewhere for progress as well. And if you have found this video helpful and you want to learn more things about how to improve your fat loss journey, then make sure that you click on this video, because YouTube's pretty good at recommending the next video for you. So yeah, check it out.